Samkelo is afraid that I'll ask him that. No, thank you very much for being here. And as I said, the IEC, we would like to pay tribute to you all for the role that you have always played and the role that you really played so well during the election process, as you were able to inform South Africans of the various aspects of the election process and campaign. And so you distinguished yourselves extremely well, and we thank you for that. And I'm sure you have tons and tons of questions, some of which we can deal with now and some of which we can deal with at a later stage. But you had our positioning as the African National Congress. I guess the key issue that's now underway is the formation of the local governments all over the country, and also the whole process of coalition formation that is taking place. And I'm sure that you will be dealing with that, showcasing that, and writing about that on a continuous basis. And it is this that, if you so wish, you may want to pose some questions. I'm fortunate because the two people who are really deeply involved in this, I mean deep, it's the Acting Secretary General and the Treasurer General. They are the ones who are involved in the various discussions that are taking place. And of course, the discussions are such that we will never be able to say definitively what the conclusion is until it is all done and wrapped up. And as I said in my input, we will keep our members and our supporters and indeed South Africa informed of whatever agreement is arrived at, because it is in their interests, the people of South Africa, that they should know as voters. But prominent in our thinking is that we will seek to implement the wishes of our people. They decided in their wisdom to set out the landscape that they did, and all we have to do is now to work with it to the extent that we can. And we just hope that we will be able to reach finality and without any mishap along the way. So thank you very much, Comrade Pule, and I think that's as much as one can say now about this.
Thanks, Mr. President. We are not going to really take a lot of questions, but we will open for the questions. The TG and the DSG will also be able to clarify some of the issues, especially as it relates to coalitions, because, as the President says, they are the ones who are intensely involved in that work. Hence, I just, because I'm only just going to take 2 rounds, Samkelo, Albiwe, and Jeno. What's your name again? Tango from Business Day, Pelani from Newsroom, Zingisadi from Sunday Times, and here. Okay.
Mr. President, on a separate issue away from the coalition discussions, I think there's a burning issue. Not to say I'm complaining for certain. There's a burning issue in the country, Mr. President, and not this time around to say I'm campaigning for someone to be fired, but it's stage 4 of change. The tricks are running themselves. ESCOM, in the words of Madam Mandela, was the biggest proposition in this election. Are you still happy with the performance of ESCOM executives? And what should happen once and for all to resolve the energy crisis in the country? When are you going to take charge and fire those who are simply not doing their job? They're fire subordinates. They're taking action on those who are low-ranking officials within the power utility. But those at the top echelons who might be campaigning your party that is dipped under 50% now, still sitting in their country government jobs. One of them being your NEC member, whom your own members complain they hardly ever see on the ground speaking to the impoverished people that vote for them. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to allow all of you to make your questions, and then officials will respond on all questions that we pose.
Black Business Council has called for the resignation of the ESCOM CEO and the board over the prolonged blackouts. What serious stance are you really going to take on this electricity issue? I mean, experts suggest that it could continue for the next 5 years. And going into these coalition talks, what will you prioritize? Because seemingly the people that were elected on the ground have made a statement that you're failing as the ANC. What will you prioritize then going into these coalition talks?
Well, in terms with the SAPC, okay.
Yeah, Mr. Boy.
In terms of the SAPC, Mr. President, not on ESCOM. We've seen former presidents being involved in this campaign, the ANC campaign. Former President Mbeki, Mtanthe, former Deputy President, Umzile Mvuka, and everyone was involved. But we didn't see former President Zuma being voted in this election. Was it because the ANC simply didn't want to associate itself with someone who's facing charges? And how has that maybe impacted on your campaign going forward? And ultimately led you to the 50% dip, especially in KwaZulu-Natal. And then maybe my final question to you, is there maybe anything that will be happening going forward in terms of your messaging? Because some people felt that the ANC was too much or too inward looking, talking about its renewal, its internal problems as opposed to what is that that is being offered to the electorate. And maybe lastly, Mr. President, you said only 5 million people voted, around 46% participated in this election. Is this maybe because the political system and the political class in this country have failed to electrify the democratic electorate to the extent that everyone felt that I'm not interested in this?
From Business Day. How much of an impact does the ANC think that load shedding or continued power blackouts had on its electoral performance? And secondly, will the ANC be holding any of its leaders accountable for its electoral performance? I'm saying this in light of the weekend's reports that the former President Jacob Zuma called on the ANC and the ANC members to hold its leaders accountable for the dismal performance of the ANC during the election.
Thank you very much. My name is Belani Pahadian from Newsroom Africa. 2019, 19 down, Mr. President. Currently, there has been a decline of the electoral support for the ANC. Is this the similar trend of liberation movements in Africa? Is the ANC collapsing? And the second one that I really want to ask you, Mr. President, is do you feel as a collective, yes, you say that the ANC has not lost, but do you feel that under your leadership the ANC has performed dismally in this kind of election, and therefore you and your collective perhaps have not performed as your predecessors?
Yes, my one day, I absolutely refuse to accept that name. Mr. President, on the issue of former President Zuma, the reason I'm raising, I find ANC talk very interesting. You were there on the stage just now talking about the need to unite. As my colleague Dan was saying, former President Zuma on the other side calling, if we were to be planned for internal rebellion against the leadership that you lead the current relation of the ANC. How do you manage these contradictions, especially as the President Zuma? Because one thing that we cannot deny, the influence and impact of former President Zuma in ANC structures is very, very effective. Do you plan maybe to have a conversation with someone like President Zuma and find a common ground in the interest of the survivor of your organization that you and him belong to? And also to accept the analysis that the arrest of former President Zuma is mainly the blame for the losses that were recorded in KwaZulu-Natal, particularly in the Temple. Yes, the other
Mr. President, do you think perhaps there is a target on your back by your political opponents in the party for leading the party?
Just start again.
Do you think perhaps there is a target on your back by your political opponents in the ANC for leading the party to below 50% in the
You say, Mr. President, that the ANC will not enter into coalitions at all costs. Can you please just explain where do you then draw the line, the all costs line? Which boundary will not be crossed in you guys, the ANC going into coalitions? Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. And now handing over to officials to answer questions. President, please
answer these questions.
Okay, so the first question, obviously, on electricity. The electricity challenge that we're facing is very concerning to all of us, and it's quite complex, and we keeping that whole issue of electricity on our radar screen every hour, every minute, and looking at precisely what is happening, how the executives are handling it, how the board is handling it, and indeed how the Department of Public Enterprises and the Minister are handling it. And Samkelo would like me to say here and now that so-and-so is going to be fired, so-and-so is going to be fired. We don't work like that, Samkelo. It is a major, major problem affecting not only the individual lives of people, but the economy as well. And the load shedding, as we talk now, is also having other adverse effects, such as jobs and the performance of our economy. So it is the biggest risk, as we have said in the past. And we are in the process of looking very closely at how best all this should be done. We've got up to 16,000 megawatts out of commission, and whilst some 5,000 or so were being repaired. And then this was also exacerbated by the situation in Zambia, where the Cahora Bassa power supply or power generation was also affected. So it's a combination of a whole range of problems and challenges, which we are continuing to work on, to look at, and to continue to look at, yes, the proficiency and the capabilities of everyone who is involved, and seeking to find solutions for all this. Municipal local government, effective municipal local government, governments that are going to be responsive to the needs of our people, governments that are going to focus on service delivery. And so therefore, as we bring the various players together, that is our strategic and most strategic objective. Now, we've had great challenges and difficulties with coalitions in the past. They are usually not stable, and we now want stable coalitions. And it is for this reason that we are saying we want tight agreements to be put in place so that every partner and participant in a coalition is facing the same direction, where we don't have casual relationships, where we have relationships or coalitions that are based on principle, that are driven by the performance that needs to be underpinning everything that we do at local government level. And of course, maybe answering the next question, we will not go into coalitions at any cost. As you heard me say, there are those who have already said they don't want to work with us. Fair and good, and they have ruled themselves out from working with us, and we will go ahead and try and set up coalition governments with like-minded entities or parties that are facing in the same direction as we are, have the same priorities, same strategic objectives, that of serving the interests of our people. And we want the coalitions not to be based on principle, and not to be just casual type of relationships where at the drop of a hat there is instability that is injected into the relationship. We want to have a seamless type of relationship with the various political parties that we will have a coalition with. And of course, there will need to be give and take in these types of relationships. So that's the way we want to be going. The former President Jacob Zuma, why was he not utilized in the election process? We will all remember that former President Jacob Zuma is on medical parole, and he has not been well for quite some time. And we were very pleased when he urged a number of ANC supporters and people of South Africa to vote for the ANC. And his voice was quite powerful, it was quite effective, and we appreciated that. And the next question was, aren't we too much inward looking? Of course, we've had to be inward looking to look at where we went wrong. But in doing so, if you listen to me this afternoon, we are actually saying that inward looking is now giving us a greater determination to be able to come up with clear objectives of how we are going to serve the people of South Africa. And that is what is really driving us. We're very clear that we've got to address service delivery challenges that our people are facing. And of course, there are a whole number of reasons, budgetary and all manner of reasons. We want to address those, but at the same time, we want to focus on delivery. So, yes, it's been important for us to repair, to renew, and to rebuild this internal engine, which is the ANC, so that it can run this vehicle, which is the ANC in government, so that we can perform much, much better than we have done. And we've been upfront, both vocally in our manifesto, and even today we articulated some of the key reasons why our people have not come out in their hordes to come and vote for us. Yes, I just wrote here 46% voted yes. It is a disappointment to us, as I said, that whereas in 2016 we had 56% turnout, now 46%. And we've said that some of the reasons are our own performance, our own standing as a political organization in terms of how people see us. But the other reason, of course, is that in some areas, people would have preferred that the voting day should have been in the middle of the week rather than on a long weekend. And it's something that we have to learn. Many people go away. Once you give them a holiday, they go and fulfill their own family obligations, and voting becomes secondary. And yet, if the voting day is midweek, as we have always done in the past, it's a lot better. And there was a combination of a whole number of factors, pandemic and court processes and all that, that landed us in this situation that we are in. But be that as it may, we have internalized the reasons why so many people did not come out to vote for us, and our voting returns have been going down, and now we believe that we have now gotten hold of the real challenge, and this is the challenges that our people have been articulating to us, and we are now better placed to turn it around. So is this, how much of an impact is electricity having? Did it have? Yes, it had an impact, a huge impact. And I spent many hours talking to our people on electricity, and there have been really two factors. They're both external to our people, which is Eskom, and internal to our people, which is the way that electricity has been utilized through illegal connections, the blowing up of transformers and all that, and wherever I've gone, I've said we need to have a conversation about that. Because in some areas, other than the load shedding, which affects everyone, in some areas in Soweto, including where I grew up, that is precisely the problem, apart from load shedding, which has come in a very dramatic way towards the election, is the issue of non-payment, issue of illegal connections, to fund and to fuel another wonderful process that our people have embarked on of being real estate owners. They've built back rooms and all that, and that needs to be fueled with electricity, but the power that is distributed to the various houses is not equal to the number of other structures that have been built. And people have understood that we need to have a conversation, which is what we should be able to have. Liberation movements, move towards collapse, as you are suggesting. The ANC is not about to collapse. The ANC has suffered a setback, and we know what has led to this setback, and we are working now, from now on, working to reverse this setback. So I would not classify us with the various liberation movements. We are, a former liberation movement, granted, but we are now a party that is in government, and we intend to hold on to that role that our people have granted us. How do we manage the contradictions between possibly what it is alleged former President Jacob Zuma said about, people should now rebel against the leadership? I just saw it in writing somewhere. I don't know whether that is real or not. But to the extent that it has happened, these are matters, obviously, that have to be discussed within the organization. These are matters, they are political, and they are matters that should be discussed. And we are a broad organization. And from time to time, there are contradictions within any organization, and the success is being able to manage them, to navigate your way around them, and that is precisely what we need to do. I think I've answered nearly all the questions. Comment Jesse and TG, if you want to add on any.
I think you've covered us, actually.
Thank you, and good night.
Thank you very much, members of the media. Finally, you had that engagement with the officials. Thank you very much. This should bring us to...
He wants to know the date of firing of people.
On the issue of electricity, like we hear you that you are working on it.
Yes.
But what is the long-term game plan? Because you can't continuously have load shedding. Load shedding today, last week was load shedding, before.
Well, let me explain to you. The situation that we face with Eskom is quite a complex one. And as we know, the fleet of generators we've got in Eskom, the majority of them are aged, and some of them are 60 years old. And that is a major problem. And this is the time of the year where, because it's thought that there isn't so much demand, that servicing takes place. So they take out a big chunk of the fleet for servicing. And when they take it out, it basically means you dismantle everything. You can't bring it back within a week or so. It is out of commission. Now it gets worse when those that you are now relying on have breakdowns. And some of the breakdowns, I've been told, have been due to negligence, and some of the breakdowns have been the breakdowns that would normally happen. So while our installed capacity is 42,000 megawatts, the available capacity has been declining, and it's below 30,000. And to drive the electricity in the country, you need close on to 27 to 30,000 megawatts. And when you lose 15,000, that is serious. And some of the reasons that are given is what happened in Zambia, and is what also happening with some of the new ones, the technical setup of those. But then the other problem has been the other power stations that we have that come in emergency, which are fueled by diesel, which are also fueled by hydro. And when those break down, and we had a breakdown at Quebec the other time, they had to put that right, and gladly that got right. Because these things break. They are machines, they break from time to time. And a calamity of all calamity then descends on you when more than 20%, maybe more than 30 or 40% of your fleet then breaks down, whilst you are maintaining the others. So this is what has visited us. And these are issues that need to be properly managed and understood. And it is this that we are focusing our attention on. So it is very complex. And it is, and of course the other problem that we have is that we rely on largely a single generator of electricity. That's the big, have a choice of moving from one to the other. And the independent power producers are pumping in whatever they can, but the majority of them are still in construction. So the direction that we now need to move towards is to restructure Eskom, to restructure it in a way that will enable us to have a generation, but that generation should be able